A recall election is a procedure by which, in certain polities, voters can remove an elected official from office through a referendum before that official's term of office has ended. Recalls, which are initiated when sufficient voters sign a petition, have a history dating back to the constitution in ancient Athenian democracy and feature in several current constitutions. In indirect or representative democracy, people's representatives are elected and these representatives serve for a specific period of time. However, where the facility to recall exists, if any representative comes to be perceived as not properly discharging their responsibilities, they can be called back with the written request of a specific number or proportion of voters. Even where they are legally available, recall elections are only commonly held in a small number of countries including the United States, Peru, Ecuador, and Japan. They are considered by groups such as ACE Electoral Knowledge Network the most rarely used form of direct democracy. The processes for recall elections vary greatly by country and can be originated in different ways. The process for calling a recall election may be: the recall referendum arrived in Latin America shortly after its introduction at the U.S. subnational level, in 1923 and 1933, to Córdoba and Entre Rios provinces, respectively, both in Argentina. Their recall exists at the provincial level in Charco, Corrientes, Santiago del Estero and Tierra del Fuego, Michoacán. It is also included in Buenos Aires City. Canada does not have legislation allowing for recall elections on the federal level. The only province or territory with recall election laws currently in force is British Columbia. Alberta has passed legislation but it is not yet in force. The province of Alberta enacted recall legislation for members of the Legislative Assembly in 1936. During the social credit government of William Aberhart, the legislation was repealed after a petition was introduced for the recall of Aberhart himself. In 2020, the government of Alberta announced it will introduce a bill allowing recall elections for members of the Legislative Assembly, municipal governments, and school boards. This bill, Bill 52, was passed and received royal assent June 17, 2021, but has not yet been proclaimed or come into force. British Columbia's Recall and Initiative Act, enacted in 1995, provides a process for recalling members of the Legislative Assembly of British Columbia. Voters in a provincial riding can petition to have their member of the Legislative Assembly removed from office once said MLA has been in office for at least 18 months. If over 40% of registered voters in the riding sign the petition and the petition is validated by Elections BC, the Chief Electoral Officer informs the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly and the member in question that the member has been recalled and their seat vacated. A by-election is called by the Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia as soon as possible to fill the vacant seat. The recalled MLA is permitted to run in the by-election for their former seat. 26 recall petitions have been launched as of 2020. Of the 6 completed petitions returned to Elections BC, 5 were rejected for having too few valid signatures. The 6th, on the recall of MLA Paul Reitzma, was halted after Reitzma resigned in 1998 during the secondary verification stage. In Colombia, the recall referendum was included by the Constitution in 1991. The constitutional replacement was launched as an answer to the movement known as La Septima Papeleta and the threshold. The change in the regulation, also quickening the registration of promoters, led to a considerable increase in the number of attempts. Article 105 of the 2008 Constitution of Ecuador provides for recall of all elected officials. People in enjoyment of political rights may revoke the mandate of popularly elected authorities. The request for revocation of the mandate may be submitted once the first and before the last year of the period for which the authority in question was elected. During the management period of an authority, only one process of revocation of the mandate may be carried out. The revocation request must be supported by a number not less than 10% of people registered in the corresponding electoral registry. In the case of the President of the Republic, the support of a number not less than 15% of those registered in the electoral registry will be required. Mayors may be recalled in 11 out of the 16 states of Germany. In a majority of these states, recall elections are indirect, meaning that they only take place after a motion of no confidence from the municipal council of the city. A supermajority vote is normally needed to start the recall process from the council. 4 states also allow the direct recall, where citizens may sign a petition to trigger the recall vote. Introduction Vote Article 18. Sect.